So back in 2014-15, I spoke to a few people leading digital in the charity sector, so digital leaders. And I asked them, what is it that you need to make the case for digital in your organization? So what they said is that amongst other things, so this is not the only one, they needed some kind of tool that's going to help them measure where the organization is at when it comes to digital maturity. So how well are they doing digital? And then where should they go? What is the next step that they should take? So thinking about it with a couple of people, and some of them are here in this room today, the digital maturity self-assessment questionnaire was developed, which basically is trying to help organizations to, or rather individuals, fill in a questionnaire and get a result at the end, and some advice on what they could be doing next. So the questionnaire it consists of 14 questions, which are based around the different competencies. So if you look at this, this is something called a digital strategy house, and there are different versions of it. But basically what is the competencies that I've developed can roughly be put into these three building blocks of any digital strategy, which are planning and processes, recruitment and training, and systems and data. So whatever your organization is trying to do when it comes to digital, these are the three building blocks. So you always have to think about these three things. Processes are always usually a very interesting one, where a lot of the quick fixes could fit around de-siloing, integrated planning, etc. Digital culture and attitude towards digital is something that is really rooted in the organizational strategy and brand. So all these different competencies will help us measure where an organization is, or what level of competency people are at, measure the level of digital maturity that those organizations are at. So 5 levels of digital maturity: basic digital operation level 1, up to digital transformation. So on the level 1, it's kind of usually very, very small teams, like a one-person digital team with a kind of fairly basic technology and not much help from the organization and not much support from the organization. And then we go up from that to kind of all different levels. The transformation bit is organizations who are really going for it with the proper digital transformation programs. So to date, about 60 organizations have, or rather people from organizations have filled in this self-assessment survey. And what I can tell you is that based on that sample and my experience working on digital strategies with organizations as a consultant, I think this kind of is fairly realistic, that basically the sector is on level 2 out of 5. As you can see on this slide, this doesn't necessarily means that all small organizations are on low levels and all the bigger organizations are on bigger levels. It actually varies. As you can see, level 2 includes all kinds of sizes. So what is holding NGOs back, if I was to kind of summarize? Because as I said, there's 14 competencies, and I can't go into all of them. But there is definitely something around data and segmentation, and or rather ability to segment. And this cuts across processes in terms of how data is ending in people's databases, how data is used in segmentation, and then how it's used in personalization, and what kind of systems exist to use this data to kind of do proper CRM and proper support to communications. Training is also another issue from the point of view that it's mostly absent. And I'm talking about digital training. So beyond how to use Excel and the Office suite, there isn't much training on digital that organizations are doing. So people are not really getting their skills updated. So if we're saying kind of spreading digital across all the different roles in the organization, what kind of support are they getting? That's not necessarily worked out. And then there's something about recruitment and staffing, and this is again how present is digital in job descriptions, and how is recruitment being done in terms of salaries, etc., etc. The opportunities are that the attitude is kind of okay. Most of the organizations are reporting that they're kind of having a good attitude from the organization. I just think that's because NGOs are just really nice and will just not gonna say to digital teams like go away, so they're just kind of pretending. But actually, it's mostly my feeling is it's mostly lip service. Digital budget seems to be okay in terms of just doing the basic digital activity, in terms of just churning stuff out. And the technology, a lot of the organizations are reporting that they're either looking at updating their website, CMS, or are in the process of that. So much needs fixing. This is what I get a lot. Where do I start? So my advice is start with planning, plan audience journeys. And I can explain this in a bit more detail, but basically this is the model that I use with my clients. So you start with your marketing, or you're wearing your audience hat on, where can I find these people, where are they going to hear my message, how are they going to react to it, what is the kind of most common reaction, what channel are they going to choose to then land on my product, whatever that is, whether it's a petition, a document you want downloaded, a form you want people to fill in, donation you want people to give, whatever that is. And then what is going to happen to people next? In my experience, most of the time, people spend a lot of time on the middle bit. They spend a little bit of time on marketing and nothing on that bit there. So that you have a petition, and then 6 weeks later, what are we going to say to these people? So really important to think about all 3 bits of the journey. So if you want to do your own digital maturity self-assessment, do get in touch, because it's something that I'm doing kind of myself, so I try to manage it based on the time I have. So if you're interested, let me know on Twitter or in person.